My name is Reed Blinn of Newmark Knight Frank. Today I'm pleased to welcome to our Citybizlist interview Chris Cashman, Chairman and CEO of Marinus Pharmaceuticals. Welcome, Chris.
At this point, there's been probably just on the Marinus front, and there was work done on this compound prior to Marinus, but in Marinus we have about $140 million invested into the drug, and we're not there yet. We've got a lot of work to do from here on out, but I'd say, loosely, by the time we get to market, there'll probably be collective, probably be about $250 million invested in the drug, which I think to certain disease areas sounds like a lot, but in the full spectrum of drug development is actually pretty reasonable for a neuro drug like ganaxolone. So we try to really squeeze our dollars tight, try to do the right work, and I think as a general rule the company has been very resource efficient here in terms of getting the work done. Now, back to, that's why it's important to pick the right indication and to really put the drug in a position where it can work and work well. And in a sense, look at that risk-reward basis and just make sure you're making good decisions on where you place the drug, where it's got a good chance to really improve the lives of patients and meet the needs of the FDA to get the drug approved. So the way we traversed it was, we started that 2B study with the $20 million of capital. And then in the spring of 13, the public markets started to open up. And I got a call from one of my board members, Anand Mehra from Sofinnova, and he said, let me just take a step back. What I told the board is when we did the 20 is that, look, we're going to need to go out and raise probably $50 million the next round, and that's going to require a public raise. And I'm probably not your guy. I'm not your guy to run a public company. I worked for a public company, but I've never taken a company public, and I felt I really didn't have the skills or at that point the interest to do it. So we had a conversation around that and said, yeah, okay, well let's go, let's keep things moving, and we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. In the spring of 13, the public markets opened up. I get a call from Anand, and he says, Chris, you see what's going on here, don't you? And I said, yes, Anand, I see exactly what you see. He said, and he pointed to benchmarks there and said, look, we're further advanced than these other companies that are getting out and getting good valuations, raising a decent amount of capital. We really need to look into the possibility of taking the company public. And I said, you're right, we really do need to. And so what I agreed to do is jump on a train to New York and visit with some bankers and really tell them the Marinus story, kind of where we were, where we're going, and get their feedback as to whether they think it would be possible to do an IPO with Marinus. And long story short, a banker, Mark Dempster from Stifel, said, Chris, I think you've got the right story and the right set of assets and plans to do a public offering. So in the fall of 13, we decided that we wanted to take the public route, and at that point that led me to a gentleman by the name of Ed Smith, because I didn't have any experience taking a company public, and Ed had worked for public companies, had taken a company public, and I had the good fortune of teaming up with Ed. And the two of us, really after Thanksgiving in 2013, started the process of taking Marinus public. So we did it with some test the water meetings. We went out and visited with some deep-pocketed public investors, and then Stifel used that feedback to help us put together the story for the IPO. And we ended up being successful and taking the company public in July of 14.